Are you looking for an escape from manufactured truth wrapped in selfish agenda? Don't you just want to have a real and raw conversation, all masks and rules aside? That's what you're getting here at Titan Evolution Podcast. Get rid of all the nonsense information and discuss everything under the sun without filters. Listen to real stories of real people who will put your current perspectives to the test, guide you on living the life you truly want, and see everything free from judgment and pretenses. Time to get rid of those unhealthy environments and let your authentic self shine. Here are your hosts, Travis Johnson and Carol Carpenter.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Travis Johnson along with my amazing co-host Carol Carpenter here today with Herb Flight Time Lang. Herb, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you and Carol taking some time out of your day and allow me to share my message on your platform.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely excited to have you. If you don't know who Herb is, he is a 18-year Globetrotter veteran, now retired. He's won slam dunk contests. He has been on The Amazing Race. I don't know how amazing he was. We'll have to ask Herb how he did. And he is a TEDx speaker along with my co-host Carol Carpenter, also a TEDx speaker. That's a lot of stuff, Herb.
I know, right? I mean, it seems like I've had quite the set of accomplishments so far. But, you know, even just hearing that stuff, it's always good to hear because it always brings back memories, which is something that I used to always hear when I would hang around Curl and Neil. Whenever people would tell him about certain times that they remember in his childhood, he would say, you know, thanks for the memories. So thank you, Travis, for the memories.
Oh, hey, I'm glad to be part of this and part of your journey, and now part of your story, which is exciting. We always start off the show with the same question. We know all the stuff that you did, but we want to know what makes you a Titan. What is it about you that was able to do all of those things?
I think a lot of the success up to this point in my life, I think a lot of what has allowed me to get to where I am is exactly what you said. It's doing things that other people weren't willing to. So when it comes to academics, for me, I know that there were nights when I was studying in my closet at home when other people weren't doing that, you know, on top of putting to sleep, you know, four of my younger brothers and sisters at the same time. And I know that other people weren't doing that. And for me to be able to do things like that, even, you know, coming up in sports, knowing that even growing up in a small town, I had my parents lived on one side of town and my grandparents lived on the other side of town. So at even 10, 11, 12 years old, at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, I'm running from one side of town to the other, like even conditioning, but as a way to get back home. But I know that there weren't other people doing that. I would go out to the track sometimes in the heat of the summer and I'm running, you know, a mile or 2 miles and I'm looking around and there was nobody else out there doing that. So in everything that I do, I look around, even walking now as a part of my regular daily routine. There's people doing it, but there's not as many people that probably should be doing it, you know? So yeah, just doing the extra things, even when people aren't watching, just staying consistent, being true to who I am. And, you know, all those things come back as a reminder when you see those people, even down the road, they remember how, you know, how you made them feel. They remember how your way of being. And that's what it is with me. No matter what happens, I know it always worked out at the end of the day, even though it's not always perfect in between there. There's a lot of shit, as you might say, that goes on in between that, but it's always worth it at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. A quick recap, because there's already so much gold in there. Academics before sports, getting that mind right before you get the body right, and then be willing to do things that other people just aren't willing to do. The track's available. You ain't even see nobody at the track. He's outside walking. Hardly anyone's out there. You have to be willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So when you were young, I mean, what inspired you to get into basketball? Was this something that you had always planned to do? Was this kind of, you know, something that you had in your sights, or did it just come?
Well, that's a great question, Carol. The other day I was just having a memory. I was sharing this with my wife, Elaine. I was saying, man, I remember when I think it was about 5 years old, and I lived in the projects in my hometown of Brinkley, Arkansas. So you can imagine a small community with about 3,000 people, farm fields, and I grew up in the project, like a small community within the community, and across from that field there was like a middle school that used to be the African American Marion Anderson School is what they called it. But anyway, I just remember going into the gym, and there was a coach in there who would have kids come in the summer, like one day a week. And I remember running up and down the court. They put me on the team, and somebody threw me the basketball, and I shot it on the wrong hoop, and it actually went in. And so that was like my first, introduction to the game of basketball. And then as the story evolves, my mom's boyfriend, who was eventually the father of my younger three brothers and sister siblings, he was one of the best basketball players that ever come through my town. And just having a chance to follow him around, and the old timers tournaments and the little tournaments 25 miles outside of town, that's what really introduced me to the game, till I eventually met my high school basketball coach in the 7th grade, who I was able to have coach me from the age of 12 all the way through 17. He was really able to guide me and make me realize that through education, I could use basketball as a tool to live a better life than the one that I was, surrounded by. That was a temporary situation that I was in. Not that it was all terrible, but it was a way to see bigger and dream bigger than what was right there in front of me. And that's when I turned to, into education. And I surrounded myself with people who would not only competed in the class, not only in sports, football, basketball, track, baseball, but we also competed in science and social studies, English, math. We wanted to see who could make the honor roll every semester, because we also know through the advice and the education of our counselors and coaches that, some of the best athletes had never made it to the next level. It wasn't their athletic ability. It was their ability to be coached and their ability to actually make the grade and put the extra effort in, as you mentioned in the beginning of the podcast.
Extra effort's important. I love it. Is there, so you mentioned that there's like the crap in between. That's the stuff that we like to hear about, because so many times on Facebook and social media, all the stuff and being a Harlem Globetrotter, you only see the highlights. You only see the stuff that's going really, really well. Tell us a little bit about some of that crap in between.
Some of the crap in between. Which part of the journey would you like to hear about?
All
Travis?
of it. I've got endless time.
It's the adversities that make us, right, Herb? At the end of the day, it's how we choose to frame it and the lessons we learn from it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'll give you an example. I'll say right out of college. Coming out of college in '98, I had just won the college the college slam dunk contest. The year before that, the same coaches in college for the first 3 years, my coaches were fired. Going into that senior year of mine, I was projected to be the top NBA pro prospect in my conference, and first team all conference. All the things were supposed to happen, and then my coaches were let go. But just as a result of that happening, I did have a decent year. I did not become the NBA pro prospect. I became a Harlem Globetrotter. But the coach that I had, he did see an opportunity for me, which we saw together, to compete in the college slam dunk contest. And competing in the slam dunk contest, coming from the smallest Division I school in the country, it was something that was a big deal, going to be able to go down to the Final Four and actually win that. So that was something that kind of put me on people's radar, so to speak. And at the end of that actual basketball season, the NBA had a lockout. So for me, I was faced with, all right, I'm not going to be able to go to any NBA tryouts. What do I do now? So I ended up realizing, no, I only have another semester of school left. So if I'm not going to the NBA, I'm not going to take these offers to go to places like South America. I had a couple offers to go to over near Greece. I think it was Cyprus. But I decided to go and student teach. I finished my degree and, ended up working as a personal trainer for about 10 months, making $7 an hour, while at the same time realizing that I had so much more, to offer the game of basketball. So while even going through that, I, continued to try to stay focused. I continued to work out, continue to regimen as if I was still going to be a professional basketball player. It was frustrating, to not have the opportunity, especially coming from a small Division I school with other people having these expectations for you and you feeling like, a bit of a disappointment. But with those trials and tribulations that we're speaking of, there comes opportunity based on the way that you carry yourself throughout your life. And one of my good friends who I went to college with was a college soccer player at Centenary College. That's where we went to school at in Shreveport, Louisiana. And after graduating college, we became roommates. And he ended up going to a Harlem Globetrotter basketball game one night while I was working in the gym as a personal trainer. And with great excitement, he came home that night, flashing in front of me a program with all the players in there, a few autographs. But at the end of the program, there was a 1-800 number. And with the excitement, Alan, who's a 5'7" Asian kid who played soccer for 4 years at the Division I level, that was a good soccer player. Imagine running up to a Globetrotter coach or scout saying, hey, what do you got to do to become a Globetrotter? I mean, at this time, there's not 5'7" Asian Globetrotters on the basketball team. And I remember him telling me that story. He was like laughing. He was like, he basically said, the fucker looked at me and started cracking up. And I said, not for me. And so he began to explain to them that it was for his roommate who, led the conference in scoring the year before, who won the college dunk contest. So he said at that point is when they was like, all right, we'll give you the number. We'll give you the number now. And I blew Alan off. When he came on with a number. I, fumbled through it. And my dream was to go to the NBA. I had never even dreamed about playing for the Globetrotters. Growing up, my great grandmother, she loved the Globetrotters. And I loved the Globetrotters too, but it was something I had never imagined. The tricks and the comedy, to me, I didn't understand what the organization was all about besides the silly slapstick comedy that we would see on Scooby-Doo and places like that. But I remember about 2 weeks after, working that job, making $7 an hour, coming home one night, a little bit frustrated, and saying to Alan, hey, man, I need that program so I can call the Globetrotter number that you got in the back of that book. And I remember calling that number that very next day. I spoke to one of the scouts, and I had already had video and stuff, so I ended up shipping that out, FedEx, 2-3 day delivery. And the day that they got it, they called and said that they received it, they reviewed the tape, and they wanted to put me down for the for the training camp. And this was like in April, so the training camp was supposed to come in August. So I kind of forgot about it. I'm still working my everyday life. I was actually playing summer league basketball and sprained my ankle, like one of the worst ankle sprains in the summer after college basketball. And would you know, within about a week of me spraining my ankle, that's when I got the call from the Globetrotters. Hey, what's going on, Herb? You sent the video back in April. We just wanted to know if you'd be willing to still, and were you still able to come to our training camp? And this is a call that's coming in on a Monday. And I'm like, well, yeah, when you guys start? They're like, Wednesday. We're going to get you a ticket and get you, fly. And I'm working a regular job as a personal trainer. And immediately I'm thinking, well, yeah, you can fly me in. I'm down for it. And I immediately, told my boss lady the next day, I said, look, this is my dream, to continue to play professional basketball. This may not have been the team that I envisioned, but this is an opportunity. And I'm feeling really confident, even with this ankle sprain that I have going on, in my ankle, that I have confidence that you can go ahead and hire somebody else, for this position. But it took somebody else believing in me almost more than I believed in myself. It took me, even going through those couple years of college. At the end of college, I'm at a couple $1,000s of credit card debt just from ridiculousness going through college. And to be able to actually play a game and be able to get out of debt, and it was frustrating. It was frustrating to not have the opportunities that I had imagined after being in the magazines as the top NBA pro prospect and the player of the year. But at the end of the day, I realized that there was a lot of people that fall off. They quit, and that's kind of the same mentality that I have right now. When I left the Globetrotters, it took me a good 6 months to gather my bearings. There was counseling, there was depression, there was, what is my purpose? What the hell is going on? I can't believe this happened to me. Are they going to call me back? Are they going to call me back? Please, I can't, just really feeling sorry for myself. And it took some time for me to kind of reflect and say, man, that was a blessing. I traveled to almost 90 countries. I met the president twice. I met, Pope Francis a couple of times. I've been on The Amazing Race. I've been on price, like all these shows, some of the shows I grew up watching, some of the people I grew up idolizing, I actually had a chance to share the same space with them. And they had a chance to share the same space with me, as well as what I also tend to preach to people, that they're a human just like me. And my vision now, I realize after almost 5 years of being away from the organization, is that my vision is just as big as anything that they can imagine. But there is a lot of, consistency, a lot of getting up and doing things that you don't necessarily want to do, but creating the habit of doing it. The habit of consistently doing something that can create a certain type of a lifestyle. And that's what it's all about. Even the weight that I'm at right now. When I left the Globetrotters in 2017, my average weight was about 210. I'm traveling the road. I'm kind of eating whatever I want. We're eating and playing every night. We're eating McDonald's, fast food every now and then, something healthy. But since you're moving so much, my body it's okay. It's maintaining. When my career ended, I just kind of stopped working out for about five months. I got up to about 225 pounds, and it was not normal for me. And this was at 40 years old. And through meeting my wife and trying different types of diets and meditations, I can tell you now, right now, through creating different habits, getting up, walking every day, making sure I exercise, I'm at 190, which is the same weight that I was at back in college. But it doesn't happen just through the mind. It's me actually getting up and moving when I don't want to move, when I don't feel like moving. It's the mad, people look at it and say, oh my God, you're in phenomenal. No, I didn't wake up like this. There was a lot of days of work and a lot of mornings of not really feeling like getting up at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning that went into this, that, led into the fitness level that I'm at right now.
Yeah, a lot of people never see what it takes to get there. They just see the end result, and they don't understand that the in between is where the sauce is at. I mean, this is where all, if you're dedicated, you take that time to do it. But if you're not looking at the end result and hoping by osmosis that somehow you're going to get there, you're not going to get there that way. You have to get up every single day and do the hard work to get there. That includes being a success in everything that you do. It's doing the crap when you don't want to do it. And when you don't feel like it and you look like shit and, you feel like shit and you manage, you get through it to get to your end goal. But this is what we talk about with the adversity that we all face, right? You have to overcome it in order to get to where you want to go. And through that whole thing is, learning the lessons along the way. And it doesn't, like you just said, you had this vision of, being in the NBA, and your dream didn't exactly present in the way that you wanted it to, but yet there was so much more opportunity, in what you did. And look at how many people you affected their lives in such a positive manner. I mean, could you have done that necessarily if you had gone to the NBA? So sometimes we get our dream, but it doesn't present in the way we want it to.
This is exactly the same sentiments that I share with a lot of people. I say, man, now, even when I joined the team, I say, this is more than a dream come true. I couldn't have imagined, taking French in high school for 1 year, taking French in college for a year. I couldn't imagine that, you're really going to have an opportunity to go to France and use the language that you've been studying, not once, not twice, but 15, 20, times, like every, single year. These are, they're blessings. There's no way that I probably would have gone to 85 countries around the world. There's no way that I would have probably, unless I won an NBA championship, to go and meet the president at the White House twice. But that's a gift. It's a beautiful thing. And, being able to recognize that, and now being in a situation where, as a former Globetrotter, I'm a part of the National Retired Basketball Players Association. And the National Basketball Retired Players Association consists of over 1,500 former NBA players, about 200 WNBA players, former ABA players, as well as Harlem Globetrotters. And so the same fraternity that I grew up idolizing, we're actually the same fraternity at the end of the day. During the NBA Summer League, we're all meeting in the same conference. We're in the same room with the same sponsors. And to have something like that after retirement to be a part of, and now not only just to be a part of, but now I'm on a committee for the memberships and benefits, but now to be able to create and help visualize things that can create opportunities, not only for myself, but for legends that I grew up watching. I mean, I'm in the room with Bill Walton. I'm in the room with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Isaiah Thomas, Byron Scott, people I grew up watching as a kid, and now have an opportunity to make a positive impact on their life, even though I didn't make it to the NBA per se. But that's, like you say, that's how things kind of work themselves out. I know what my purpose is, and it's bigger than the NBA. It's bigger than the Globetrotters. I was taken around the world with the Globetrotters and taken around the world with the Amazing Race to have a visualization of how I get to go back and impact.
It is.
Let's talk about the Amazing Race.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
there is so much that Herb has said in the last 20 minutes. I mean, he talked about having a college staff with him for 3 years, and then senior year comes up, and all of a sudden you're faced with a new staff. I mean, what does that look like? Boy, what was that? You go through the emotions. It's not a plan change. It happened to you. And those moments reveal who you are, and it helps galvanize who we are as people, because it's not easy. And if it was easy for you, it certainly wasn't easy for all your teammates.
I had to make an immediate adjustment, and I had to realize how grateful I was at that time to be in the situation that I was in. I was at a great school. There was no way that I could afford to go to that school without the scholarship that I had. And back then, you couldn't just put your name in the transfer portal and go to another school. Usually, if you went to a school, you were there for 4 years. So I remember being in the dormitory with my coach coming in at that time to have a meeting with us to let us know that don't believe what you hear on TV. They fired my ass. Those were his words. He said, do not believe what they said. They fired my ass. And I've enjoyed, having each one of you guys here. We were kind of a small Division I school, and sometimes we would have to go on the road for money games. You play bigger Division I schools early in the season, take the loss per se. So, I mean, if you end up 12-14, that's a losing season, but you played 6 games or 8 games, money games at top 20 schools. So he said, I remember him saying, they never told me that I really had to keep a winning record, but yeah, they fired my ass. I wish you guys nothing but the best. And for me, it was shocking because I knew what was ahead. I had the ultimate green light. I averaged 19.6 points a game. There was a guy in that same year who got drafted into the NBA right before. So I'm really thinking I have an opportunity. And I just remember when my new coaching staff came in, who I love the guy, and I still do to this day. I remember him saying, yeah, we're not about to run up and down the court and get blown out, 98 to, 72. He said, we're going to slow it down. So immediately I was like, all right, that doesn't sound good for my 19.6 points per game scoring average if we're not about to go back and up and down the court. But, again, just having to be able to adjust and work together. And I think that was also something that allowed me to have such a long career, which I'm so grateful for with the Globetrotters for that 18 years. Over the course of that 18 years, I had a bunch of different teammates. I had a bunch of different coaches. I went through 3 different organizations. And I would tell, it dawned on me probably about 5 years into my career that there's no way that I'm going to let a coach, a player, or an organization control my destiny. I'm not going to stop playing for the Globetrotters because I don't like a coach or because I don't like a player. I can figure out some things that I can like about that person and work with that person. And I think for me, over the course of my career, being able to adjust and realize that, yeah, things do change. And that's the only way for us to get better. We have to be open to it. I think that's what allowed me to play for 18 years. And these are the things I would tell these other players, man, you may not like this about that coach, but you could be here longer than him. I've been through 5 coaches already. They may send you to another squad that we have, and you have to deal with this coach. This has to be about you mentally, what you want to do. Do you enjoy this? And overcoming whatever obstacle that it is that's holding you back from going to the next level with this situation. And there were people that still just, couldn't get it. But that was my mentality, and it kind of still is my mentality.
Well, see, that's important. That's an important thing to talk about and to not skip over. I mean, I definitely want to talk about the Amazing Race. Don't get me wrong. I definitely want to talk about the Amazing Race. But, we interviewed Reggie Walker, and he brought this up. When he got to Kansas State, he had a coach almost immediately had it out for him the whole time he was there. And you can't just get away from the coach. The coach is the guy that's there every day. So what do you, I mean, you explained how you did, you know, he had explained how he had to look at the situation to get through it, to get to where he wanted to go. And at the end of your college career, the NBA said, hey, we're shutting down. I know hockey's done this. I know the MLB's done this. And I mean, shoot, I mean, people coming in from 2008 and 2009 when they thought they're going to have these huge careers and the market crashed. And then we had COVID. We got friends,
Yeah.
Elizabeth Sloan coming on the show here in a couple of weeks. She had her whole life planned out, had this huge grant to go scuba diving in caves with like underwater things in Japan or China. I don't even know. I got to find out. But like her whole plan got derailed because of some external circumstance. And it's wonderful to see that you were able to stick with it, even though it wasn't the professional career you might have envisioned when you were younger. You still brought, I mean, how many smiles around the world? How many people were energized and engaged because you were able to go and put on a show doing something that you love? That's just fantastic.
And those are things that I still carry with me, you know, to this day, just even sharing some stories. I remember in '99, the first time I played a game, and young people with kids coming up saying, "Oh man, great job tonight." I remember coming with my parents back in the late '70s or early '80s, and that's the reason why I'm bringing my kids here. And then, you know, 10 years later after that, in 2010, you got a whole new group of kids who and parents who went in the '90s and the 2000s who are bringing their kids, trying to share, and it just goes on and on to 2015, to the point to where, I mean, I just remember this one father and son in Pittsburgh. And I remember having pictures of this kid when he was a baby, you know, hold him in my arm, like maybe 1.5, 2 years old at the game, up to the point to where 17 years old into my career, I have pictures of, you know, me and this kid. I don't have him anymore, but his dad had pictures he was sent to me of us, you know, kind of getting bigger and bigger each and every year, because they would come each and every year. And that's what's happening even right now. There's families that are coming because they came in the early 2000s, and now they have small kids that they want to have those experiences with. So, you know, that's what it's all about.
Oh, no, I absolutely love that. And I want to talk about the Amazing Race, because Amazing Race, not only were you there a couple of times, right? But I am not a fan of reality shows, like all the big reality stuff from the late '90s going to. I cannot stand reality shows. But man, I love the Amazing Race.
Hey, a lot of people, we would get that a lot. Big Easy and I, we got that a lot. That, you know, a lot of people felt like certain shows were rigged, but I can assure you that on my watch of 3 seasons of competing and 3 seasons of not winning, it's not rigged, because you cannot try to convince me that you have to do something to not win this $1 million. But man, it was an amazing experience for myself, not only, but I'm sure Big Easy would say the same thing, because there weren't a lot of opportunities for us on national TV, and it wasn't necessarily because of the opportunities not being there. We just weren't promoted to get those opportunities. And new ownership came in to the organization around 2007, and they felt like they wanted to create some new stars. They wanted people to remember some of the Globetrotters like they remember the late great Curly Neal. They remember the late great Meadowlark Lemon, and they felt like that could happen through pop culture, and that's was kind of the height of Survivor and, you know, Amazing Race and all those different American Home Makeover edition. And so what they did was they hired some people from Hollywood, some production people, and some people to promote and get us on different casting agents per se. And one of the shows was The Amazing Race that my friend Big Easy and I, we really liked. And it was not only a show that we wanted to be cast on, it was something that we had watched, you know, for many years and have been fans of it. And, you know, having an opportunity to even video and film from it, the thing that they liked about us is that we were authentic. We actually played for the same college basketball coach, the one who came in my last year into my senior year. He was the same coach that Big Easy had 4 years later at a different school in Louisiana. And when it all connected, when Big Easy graduated, he was able to let me know, hey, there's a kid coming from Southeast Louisiana, you know, I want you to look out for him. So we played for the same college coach, but at different universities. But when he immediately came, I had to look out for him. We were just friends in that sense. And that's what the video revealed. And that led to us being able to go back and forth 2 or 3 times, because Amazing Race let us know, hey, we've got plenty of celebrity teams that would like to be a part of the show. So you really got to have a genuine connection. And we amped it up a little bit. We're Globetrotters. We know how to entertain.
But there was a natural synergy, wasn't there?
There was a natural synergy that they saw. We were able to kind of finish each other's sentences, because, I mean, you're on the bus with this person for, 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes 8 months out of the year. So what they're about to say before they say it. We know what to order each other at different restaurants if somebody goes away from the table too long. And so to be able to have that genuine connection, that's what they like to see on reality TV shows. And they also like to see that natural not connection too, so they can have that drama side of it as well, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, they love the drama.
But yeah, we had a chance to do it. The first season we did, it was in 2009. That was season 15. And Big Easy and I, we came up short in Prague. We came in 4th place, which was, 3 places from the $1 million. But we had a chance to, I think it was 10 weeks of primetime television every Sunday during football season. And then, by popular demand, they brought us back for Unfinished Business in, it was 2011, I think. And that was season 18 of The Amazing Race. And we actually came in 2nd place that season. And I'll give you a little bit of what the difference between 2nd place and 1st place is. 1st place, you split $1 million, and 2nd place, you split $25,000. And so,
that's not a good
dagger.
Yeah,
Oh
man.
Oh man.
So it wasn't meant to be, but again, we never had to audition again, really, to do the show again. They called us back to compete that 2nd time. And then again, they called us back in 2014 to do season 24, which we came in 6th place. It wasn't our best season, but again, it was the way that we carried ourselves on television. The network realized the value that we brought to the television show, though. That's kind of how things work out. We didn't win yet, and I joke with people. I say, I had a undefeated career playing with the Globetrotters. I never played in any of the competitive games, so to speak, but the only time I ever took some L's was the 3 seasons that I competed for the Globetrotters on CBS. The Amazing Race.
It sounds like Glenn Ross. It's like 1st prize is a Cadillac Eldorado, 2nd prize is a set of steak knives, 3rd place you're fired.
Man.
Like
So would you say that being on The Amazing Race kind of catapulted your career into finding your purpose?
I would say that when ownership came in 2007, what it did was they started to take more advantage of like social media type, things like television shows. And so for me, I came in as a high flyer, a slam dunker. I'm Flight Time. I'm the 1998 college slam dunk contest winner. But as you get a little bit older, you learn that, those legs don't fly quite as high. You're not really able to run quite as fast. But if you're able to speak and, handle the basketball in my frame of work and able to be articulate, then your career can go a little bit longer. And so the ability to be able to represent myself on national television, be a great representation for the brand, not once, but 3 times over the course of about 5 years. Yeah, of course, it probably added a good 7, 8 years to my career, because after the games, I mean, when we first did The Amazing Race, we signed autographs out in each and every game. They got to the point where Big Easy and I would actually have to go to a concourse and sign at different places because people watched the Amazing Race, and so that brought value to the brand. And we would get people coming up to us with those sentiments saying, hey man, we loved you guys on The Amazing Race. We really don't even usually watch reality television, but each and every Sunday we look forward to sitting down with our kids and watching you guys compete on the show the way that you did. So again, that's what it's that's what it's all about. And so I've been blessed to do some pretty cool things, but like I said, yet to win The Amazing Race. I've taken a couple of losses, but the win is that I've had a chance to extend my career. It's something I've been able to put on my resume that led to opportunities to appear on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? That led to opportunities to appear as a judge on Cupcake Wars. That led to opportunities to be on The Price is Right, not once, but twice. So, meeting the Pope they knew who I was at this point. I was one of the faces of the brand during that time. Myself, Big E, Kevin, Special K Daily. So yeah, it definitely helped launch me into the next phase of my career. Even writing the book, it talks about my book that I wrote, Project Popes and Presidents. I talk about, meeting the Pope Francis. I talk about meeting President Obama. I talk about growing up in the projects. Now the projects happened, but without the Globetrotters meeting the Pope and the President, I'm not sure if that would have happened, which would have left for just a book called Projects, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, there's a lot that happened, since that first appearance on The Amazing Race that kind of got me to where I am right now, shaking hands with those dignitaries and realizing that I am going to have as big a purpose in this world as each of those people that I've met that are really looked up on as world leaders. So I get to say I have the same impact.
And you're doing films too, correct?
Absolutely right. So pretty cool thing happened after I met you at the TEDx event back in April. There was an opportunity for me to play the role of Babe Presley in a movie called Sweetwater. So Sweetwater is a story of Nat Sweetwater Clifton, who was the first African American to sign a NBA contract. He signed with the New York Knicks. There was two other guys that signed a little bit alongside with him. But the story depicts the story of Nate Sweetwater Clifton, who was a former Harlem Globetrotter. And it follows the path of his career along with five other Globetrotters who, again, it's Nate Sweetwater Clifton, Goose Tatum, Marcus Haynes, Irma Johnson, Pop Gates, and again, myself, I played Babe Presley. So one of the cool things about the movie was just being able to be in a motion film. This is a movie that's going to come out, I think they're saying now around April, in about 1,500 theaters across the United States. This is a Warner Brothers, Clint Eastwood production. I had a chance to film at Warner Brothers for 3 weeks out on Disney Ranch for a couple of weeks where Walt Disney used to live, and then just different locations for a couple of weeks over, throughout LA. And to be able to play a role in a movie that was based back in the 40s and 50s before the Globetrotters really, really springboarded into popularity, and to actually have played from 99 to 2017 and to have lived some of the visions that I was able to go back and relive in filming the movie was like one of the coolest things ever, because there's certain scenes within the movie to where I know that these are real stories that were told from Sweetwater's family or from, Goose Tatum's family, and even, Abe Saperstein's family, to see the vision and hear say, well, I'm going to take you to England. I'm going to take you guys to Asia. I'm going to take you guys to South America. I'm sitting there like, yeah, he really is. I've been there. Yeah, he's really going to take it. Like it's
a bit surreal.
Exactly. It is surreal. And it was one of the coolest experiences. And it even broadened my horizons to the point of one day, maybe one day I get to own a team and have a similar vision and use it to spread my vision of kindness and the things that I've seen from my experiences with that great organization to the rest of the world. But yeah, man, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and your hashtag kindness is free. How did that come about?
Well, my hashtag kindness is free. So the story of my life is a lot of the great things and opportunities that have happened in my life had been because of the free kindness that people have given to me. And to make a long story short, I give an example I talk about in my book. My high school basketball coach, 7th grade through 12th grade. So from 12 years old through 18 years old, I had one coach, and he shared a lot of knowledge, time, driving me back and forth with his son, to AAU basketball clinics, and just guiding me to realize the importance of education as well as the sport. And really, he put me in a position to where even if I didn't get a basketball scholarship, I graduated as president of my high school class. I could have had academic scholarships, and that was because of his leadership. Luckily for me, I was a good athlete and I got a basketball scholarship. So the academic portion of that, wasn't necessary, but the academics did help me get into Centenary College. I qualified on my ACT scores. I qualified with my grades. So it was an easy transition, for them to take me in as a person that they never seen before. But even with that, they had never seen me play before. There was another guy who came from my hometown, who had been at that school for a year before me, who told them about me. You know, his word of mouth is what gave them the security, knowing that they could bring in me and have nothing to worry about. And even with the Globetrotter story that I told you, my friend who was my roommate, he went to a Globetrotter game. He came home with the program, like everything that has happened, the movie situation. I didn't audition for the movie. One of my former teammates, Kevin Special K Daly, he gained the role 8 years ago, and the movie was a no-go. Shortly, he found out after, and then it got greenlit again back, I think, in May or March for it to be able to be filmed again. And he reached out, to the producers, and he let me know that they were actually going to let him fulfill his role. But one of his recommendations was that he would be able to bring at least one former real Globetrotter player that was not an actor, that can kind of help teach the guys along with him the plays and the choreography and some of the things that we went through. And that's how I got the role to play this movie in this major motion picture. So again, that's where kindness is free comes from. I'm a living testimony to kindness is free. And so, I just want to encourage people that, just be kind no matter what. People are watching you no matter what. And if you're doing the right things behind closed doors, people will speak up for you behind closed doors. And
See,
that'll bring you
that's
to
some
the
stuff
light.
that I need to learn right there about kindness, Kevin.
Travis.
I'm kind of a prick. I'm kind and I'm generous. I'm not nice. I'm not a nice person. I've never been accused of being nice, but it always
That
is.
is so not true, Travis. You are. You're like.
I don't believe him.
No,
I don't
it's
believe
not.
it.
He puts on this front that he's this tough dude. I'm an asshole. But at the end of the day, if you kind of crack open that shell, he's got a heart of gold. He's all balls and gusto and not really any of the other crap. Jesus,
Hey,
stop.
hey, we all do. If he wasn't, I'm sure he wouldn't be hanging out with you, Carol, right?
Yeah, wink, wink. He's a good dude. As much as he wants to tell everybody he's an asshole, I think he just enjoys doing that just to put people off, because at the end of the day, if you get to know Travis, he would give you the shirt off his back. He's pretty awesome, dude.
I have no doubt. No doubt.
Don't do it. Just don't do
it. We're allowed cussing. We're not allowed nudity on this show. So I'm put a shirt on.
Well, in that case, it's only partial nudity.
Yeah, there'll just be a special like TV mature, partial nudity, some explicit language. Like what? Trying to figure out what our TV rating is going to be.
Yeah.
No, I love that about you, Herb. It's the life that you're living comes through in every facet of everything that you do, and that's just a testament, especially what we're seeing on the news in America, is that people like yourself can rise to the top, being a quality individual and spreading kindness. That stuff is free. I mean, just like smiling, right? Raises your face value.
And that's what I want to teach, not just to young people, but to the world. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, I was at Austin doing a freshman orientation, and I had an opportunity to actually do a slideshow. I was able to show them some of the teachers who helped me along the way. My 5'7" Asian friend who helped me get to the Globetrotters, he actually happened to be there. I was able to show him on the screen and actually have him stand next to me and show them that this guy right here is the connection and the reason why I was able to travel, to all these different countries around the world. So I just want people to know. I mean, I even let them know. I say, some of the people that I grew up with in my family, everybody is not the greatest person in the world. Everybody that you meet is not the greatest person. You still can find ways, to love them, and you can find the good within these individuals. And these are the things that are going to allow you to become the superhuman that you want to become, and realize that anything is possible. So, yeah.
It's very true. I just think these days we're all too negative. And I'm not going to say I'm a negative person. I'm not. I'm a very positive person. But when you're surrounded by negativity, it's hard not to have that somehow, impact you, right? And even through it all, you can be as positive as you want. Eventually, it does wear you down. And so you have to be able to see kind of the light
Mentally
Um,
conditioning, mental
yeah,
conditioning.
yeah, you really do. Because at the end of the day, if you harbor any negativity, it affects all your decisions. It affects everything down to the cellular level. So you can't expect good things to come from negative thoughts.
I totally agree with you.
Herbert, I want you to speak to the audience now, if you can. Someone that's having a hard time, that's in that struggle. Maybe they're waiting for the NBA draft, but the NBA is locked out right now and they just can't get in. What would you tell some of those people out there struggling?
Well, first of all, I would say definitely take some time to reflect on, along with this dream or whatever it is that you're going for. Take some time to reflect on some other things that you dreamed about when you were a young child or a young athlete. Because, like for myself, one of the things that drove me, I had more than just dreams of being a basketball player. And a lot of those dreams came to fruition after the Globetrotters. I was able to kind of sit back and reflect, like, man, I used to love Michael Jackson, the way he entertained and danced. Man, I'd love to be an entertainer. I used to love, Richard Pryor movies. I thought he was the funniest person ever, and so I'm like, man, I would love to get into acting. And so, I had some opportunities to do these things during the course of my Globetrotter career, and just being able to kind of go back and try to make some of these contacts again and try to figure out a way to create some of these opportunities. Exactly what, I've been doing. I've been taking the things that I've learned from the Globetrotters now and applying them to the things that I get to do today, from branding, from creating my own brand swag ball. I trademarked that, during COVID. The kindness is free 2020 is when I kind of came up with that slogan. And even now working on a documentary, I mean, I dreamed of being in television when I was a kid. Even now speaking on stages as as a TEDx talker, I had visions of, creating now sports television game shows. So I would just say, if it's not happening right now, and I tell young people this, just because you don't make it to the NBA or to college playing basketball doesn't mean that you still don't get to work somewhere within that passion. So find alternate routes to get to that passion. Find a way to get into the door. It's like someone asked me the other day, when you get interviewed, do you care about talking about the Globetrotters? Oh, no, of course. Ask me a few questions about the Globetrotters, whatever it takes for me to get into the door until you figure out an opportunity to figure out who I really am. That's what I'm all about. Hey, let's talk about the Globetrotters. What do you want to know? All right. Eventually, I get to talk about what I'm all about and my purpose in life, and that's making this world a better place at the end of the day. And whatever that looks like is what I'm about.
So what do you have planned for the future? I mean, you've got things in the works now, but what are your sights set on?
Well, my sights are set on, eventually at some point I do want to own a franchise and take it to the next level. But I want to be one of the top motivational speakers in the world. I want to create documentaries and television shows, which again are in the works. I want to be on platforms. I want to take my former teammates and give them opportunities to thrive and have opportunities. Just like I mentioned, I'm a part of the membership and benefits committee for the National Basketball Players and Retired Players Association. So just more opportunities to be heard, because again, some of my teammates have played for 15, 20 years, been to 60, 70 countries, and haven't been heard from in 15, 20 years on a big platform. Not that they're not doing things within the community, but I think the voices need to be heard and they can make a difference in a lot of what's going on in the world today, because I know that's what I'm here for. And I know a lot of guys that I learned from, I know that there's part of their purpose as well. So just creating a platform of awareness and just making the world a better place. And that's my passion. That's my purpose.
Oh, I love that, Herb. Where can people find you online?
Well, I'm pretty busy on LinkedIn. I am the motivational speaker, or you can put in Herbert Flight Time Lang. Also on Instagram and Twitter at DA Trotter 4, D as in dog, A as in apple, Trotter number 4. You can go to my website, herblang.com, but all that stuff will lead pretty much to me. My email and all that information is there, or you can just direct message me. But all those social media platforms, that's where you can find me putting out some positivity and just trying to make a difference in the world. I'm super excited. I got a couple of basketball clinics coming up in the next few weeks. So that's an exciting thing that's happening. So yeah, anybody that's interested in having me come in to speak, or host a couple of basketball clinics, or whatever it is, businesses, hey, I'm here to have fun, and I'll give you a unique experience that you will probably bring back some memories that you guys have had.
Hey, thanks so
Agreed.
much for being our guest today, Herb. From myself and Carol, kindness is free. Spread the word.
Kindness is free. Spread the word. Don't forget it, my man. Get that jump shot right.
That's all for this episode of Titan Evolution Podcast. We hope this no-holds-barred conversation opened your eyes on what it takes to live a genuinely happy life according to your own terms. Now that you've treated yourself to such a refreshing discussion, you cannot listen to nonsense content anymore. Be sure not to miss an episode by subscribing to the show at TitanEvolutionPodcast.com. Don't forget to share the word so more people can be enlightened, informed, and entertained. Thank you for listening.